Every afternoon at exactly 4 o'clock, the sound of children laughing would float up from the street below. It came through the open window like music, filling the small bedroom with something bright and alive. And every afternoon, a little girl named Maya would climb onto her bed, press her face against the glass, and watch. She was 8 years old with big brown eyes and curly hair that her mother always tied back with a ribbon. From her window on the second floor, she could see everything. The empty lot across the street where the neighborhood kids gathered. The makeshift goals they had built from old wooden crates. The worn soccer ball that bounced between their feet like it had a life of its own. Maya knew all of them by now, even though they did not know her. There was the tall boy who always wore a red cap backwards. He was the leader, the one who picked the teams and settled the arguments. There was the girl with the long braids who ran faster than anyone else. There were the twin brothers who always ended up on opposite teams and spent the whole game trying to outdo each other. And there was the little kid, probably 6 or 7, who was not very good but tried so hard that everyone cheered when he finally kicked the ball in the right direction. She watched them every single day. She memorized the way they moved, the way they called out to each other, the way they collapsed on the grass when they were tired and stared up at the sky. She noticed how they celebrated when someone scored, jumping on each other and screaming like they had just won the biggest trophy in the world. She saw how they argued sometimes, but always made up before the game was over. She observed the way they belonged to each other, the way they were part of something. Maya wanted that more than anything. But wanting something and having it are two very different things. Maya had been born with a condition that affected her muscles. The doctors had a long, complicated name for it that she could never remember. All she knew was that her legs did not work the way other kids' legs worked. She could walk, but not fast. She could stand, but not for very long. Running was almost impossible. It made her muscles burn and shake, and sometimes she would fall down and not be able to get back up without help. Her mother had explained it to her many times, always with gentle words and soft hands stroking her hair. Your body is different, my love. It does not mean you are less. It just means some things are harder for you. Maya understood. She really did. But understanding something in your head and accepting it in your heart are also two very different things. School was difficult. Not the learning part. Maya was smart. She loved reading and could finish a book in 2 days if it was good enough. Math made sense to her. She liked the way numbers followed rules, the way there was always a right answer if you worked hard enough to find it. But the other parts of school, the parts that happened outside the classroom, those were hard. During recess, the other children would run to the playground. They would race each other to the swings, climb the jungle gym, play tag across the field. Maya would sit on a bench near the door and read her book. Sometimes a teacher would come and sit with her for a few minutes, asking if she was okay. She always said yes. It was easier than explaining. The truth was, she had stopped trying a long time ago. In first grade, she had asked to join a game of freeze tag. The kids had said yes, because kids that age are usually kind. But Maya could not run fast enough. She was always the first one caught, and she could never catch anyone else. After a while, she just stood there in the middle of the field, frozen, while everyone else played around her. She felt invisible. She never asked to join again. Her mother worked hard. Really hard. She was a nurse at the hospital downtown. And she often worked double shifts to make sure they had enough money for rent and food, and Maya's medicine. Their apartment was small, just 2 bedrooms and a kitchen that was also the living room. But her mother had made it feel like home. There were pictures on the walls and plants on the windowsill and a soft blanket on the couch that Maya liked to wrap herself in when she watched television. Her mother's name was Rosa, and she was the strongest person Maya knew. She had raised Maya all by herself since Maya was a baby. She never complained, never said life was unfair, never let Maya see her cry. She worked and she smiled and she made sure Maya knew every single day that she was loved. But even Rosa could not give Maya the one thing she wanted most. She could not make her legs work differently. She could not make her body fit into a world that seemed built for running and jumping and climbing. She could not give her a place on that field across the street. One Saturday afternoon in early September, Maya was helping her mother clean out the garage. It was hot and dusty, and they had found all sorts of things they had forgotten about. Old photo albums, a broken lamp, boxes of clothes that did not fit anymore. And then, in the corner, half hidden under a pile of newspapers, Maya found something that made her heart stop. It was a soccer ball. Old and worn, with the air mostly leaked out, but still recognizable. It must have been left there by whoever lived in the apartment before them. Maya picked it up and held it in her hands, turning it over slowly. She ran her fingers across the faded black and white pattern. She imagined what it would feel like to kick it. Really kick it. And watch it fly through the air toward a goal. She carried it back to her room without saying anything to her mother. She set it on her bed and stared at it for a long time. Then she picked it up again and held it against her chest, like it was something precious. Like it was a promise of a life she could not have. That night, her mother found her sitting on the floor of her bedroom. The soccer ball was in her lap, and tears were running down her face. She was not making any sound. She had learned a long time ago how to cry quietly, how to keep her sadness small and hidden so it would not worry anyone. Rosa knelt down beside her daughter. She did not say anything at first. She just wrapped her arms around her and held her close, the way she had done 1,000 times before. Maya leaned into her mother's warmth and let herself be held. "What is wrong, my love?" Rosa finally asked, her voice soft and full of concern. Maya did not answer right away. She was not sure she could find the words. But then she looked up at her mother, her eyes red and wet. And she said the thing she had been holding inside for so long. "I just wanted to play," she whispered. "Just once. I just wanted to know what it feels like." Rosa felt her heart break into 1,000 pieces. She had seen her daughter struggle. She had watched her sit alone at school events, had noticed the way she looked at other children with longing in her eyes. But hearing those words, spoken so quietly, with so much pain behind them, was almost more than she could bear. She pulled Maya closer and kissed the top of her head. She did not have an answer. She did not have a solution. All she had was love. And in that moment, love did not feel like enough. But something changed in Rosa that night. Something shifted deep inside her chest. She looked at her daughter, this beautiful, brave girl who asked for so little and deserved so much. And she made a silent promise. She did not know how. She did not know when. But she was going to find a way to give Maya what she wanted. She was going to find a way to let her daughter play. Rosa could not sleep that night. She lay in her bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of the city outside her window. Cars passing by. A dog barking somewhere in the distance. The hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. But all she could hear, really, was her daughter's voice playing over and over in her mind. "I just wanted to play. Just once." Those words had buried themselves deep inside her chest, and they would not let go. She thought about all the times she had seen Maya sitting alone. All the birthday parties, where she watched from the sidelines. All the school events, where other children ran and played while Maya sat quietly with a book in her lap. Rosa had always told herself that Maya was okay. That she had accepted her situation. That she was happy in her own way. But now she realized she had been wrong. Her daughter had just learned to hide her pain. The next morning, Rosa woke up before the sun. She made coffee and sat at the kitchen table with a notebook and a pen. She did not have a plan yet, but she knew she needed to start somewhere. She wrote down everything she could think of: recreation centers, youth sports leagues, community programs, special needs organizations. She did not know if any of these would help, but she was going to try every single one. Her first phone call was to the local recreation center. She had driven past it 100 times on her way to work but had never gone inside. A woman with a tired voice answered and listened as Rosa explained her daughter's situation. She asked if there were any programs for children with physical disabilities. Any way for Maya to participate in sports. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then the woman said she was sorry, but they did not have anything like that. Their programs were not designed for children with special needs. There were liability concerns, insurance issues, She suggested Rosa try somewhere else. Rosa thanked her and hung up. She stared at the phone in her hand for a moment, then picked up her pen and crossed the recreation center off her list. One down. Many more to go. Over the next 2 weeks, Rosa made dozens of phone calls. She called youth soccer leagues and explained that her daughter could not run but still wanted to play. She called community centers and asked about adaptive sports programs. She called schools and churches and nonprofit organizations. She called anyone she could think of who might be able to help. The answers were almost always the same. We are not equipped for that. We do not have the resources. It is a liability issue. Maybe when she is older. Have you tried somewhere else? Each rejection felt like a small wound. Rosa tried not to let it show. She would hang up the phone, take a deep breath, and dial the next number. She did this during her lunch breaks at the hospital, in the parking lot before her shifts, late at night after Maya had gone to bed. She was exhausted, but she refused to stop. One afternoon, she visited a youth sports facility on the other side of town. She had heard they had programs for children with different abilities, and she drove 45 minutes through traffic to get there. The building was nice, with bright colors on the walls and pictures of smiling kids everywhere. Rosa felt hope rising in her chest as she walked through the front door. She spoke with a man at the front desk who listened politely and then called over a coach to talk to her. The coach was friendly. He explained their programs and showed her around the facility. But when Rosa asked specifically about soccer for a child who could not run, his face changed. He said they mostly focused on children with cognitive differences, not physical ones. Their soccer program required a certain level of mobility. He was very sorry. But he did not think it would be a good fit for Maya. Rosa drove home in silence. She did not turn on the radio. She did not cry. She just gripped the steering wheel and kept her eyes on the road. When she got home, Maya was sitting by the window, watching the neighborhood kids play their afternoon game. Rosa stood in the doorway and watched her daughter watch them. The longing on Maya's face was so clear, so raw, that Rosa had to turn away. That night, after Maya was asleep, Rosa sat down at the kitchen table with her laptop. She had joined a community Facebook group a few months ago but had never really used it. People posted about garage sales and lost pets and neighborhood events. It was not much, but it was something. A connection to people nearby who might understand. Rosa stared at the blank screen for a long time. She did not know what to write. She was not good with words the way some people were. She had never been the type to share personal things online, but she was out of options. She had tried everything she could think of, and nothing had worked. Maybe, just maybe, someone out there could help. She started typing slowly, one word at a time. Hello everyone, my name is Rosa, and I live on Maple Street with my 8-year-old daughter Maya. I am writing this because I do not know what else to do. Maya was born with a condition that affects her muscles. She can walk but not very well. Running is almost impossible for her. She has spent her whole life watching other children play while she sits on the sidelines. She has never complained. She has never asked for special treatment. But a few nights ago she broke down crying and told me the one thing she wants more than anything in the world. She wants to play soccer. Just once. She wants to know what it feels like to be part of a team, to kick a ball toward a goal, to be included instead of left out. I have called every organization I can find. I have visited recreation centers and sports facilities. Everyone says no. I am not asking for pity. I am not asking for money. I am just asking if anyone out there has any ideas, any suggestions, anything at all. She is such a good kid. She deserves to feel like she belongs somewhere. Thank you for reading this, Rosa. She read it over 3 times. It felt too personal, too vulnerable. She almost deleted the whole thing, but then she thought about Maya crying on the floor with that old soccer ball in her lap, and she clicked the button before she could change her mind. It was almost midnight. Rosa closed her laptop and went to bed, expecting nothing. She figured a few people might read it. Maybe someone would leave a kind comment. That would be enough. At least she had tried. But Rosa had no idea what she had just started. When she woke up the next morning and checked her phone, She had to look twice to make sure she was seeing correctly. The post had been shared over 200 times. There were nearly 400 comments. Her inbox was overflowing with messages from people she had never met. She sat on the edge of her bed and scrolled through the responses with shaking hands. People were offering to help. Dozens of them. A retired physical therapist wanted to work with Maya for free. A local sports shop said they would donate any equipment she needed. Parents were asking how their kids could get involved. Teachers were sharing the post with their schools. Complete strangers were writing long messages about how Rosa's words had touched them. How they wanted to do something. Anything. To help this little girl play soccer. Rosa put her phone down and covered her face with her hands. For the first time in weeks, she let herself cry. Not from sadness this time. From something else entirely. Something that felt like hope. She had asked the world for help, and the world had answered. The messages kept coming all day. Rosa could barely keep up. Every time she refreshed her phone, there were more notifications, more comments, more people reaching out to offer help. It was overwhelming in the best possible way. She had expected nothing. And instead, she had received everything. During her lunch break at the hospital, she sat in the break room and tried to read through as many messages as she could. A woman named Patricia, who worked at a physical therapy clinic, said she wanted to volunteer her time to help Maya build strength in her legs. A man who owned a small sporting goods store said he would donate soccer cleats, shin guards, and anything else Maya might need. A retired teacher offered to help organize a practice schedule. A mother of 3 said her kids would love to play with Maya anytime. Rosa did not know most of these people. They were strangers who had read her words and felt something. They did not want anything in return. They just wanted to help a little girl they had never met. It was almost too much to believe. But the response that surprised Rosa the most came from much closer to home. That same afternoon, while Rosa was still at work, there was a knock on the apartment door. Maya was home with a babysitter, a kind older woman from down the hall who watched her sometimes when Rosa had to work late. The babysitter opened the door and found a group of kids standing in the hallway. There were 5 of them, all around 10 or 11 years old, still sweaty from playing outside. At the front of the group was a tall boy with a red cap on backwards. Maya recognized him immediately. He was the leader of the soccer games, the one she watched from her window every single day. Her heart started beating fast. She had no idea why he was at her door. The boy looked nervous. He shifted his weight from one foot to the other and glanced back at his friends like he was not sure what to say. Then he took a deep breath and looked directly at Maya. "Hi," he said. "I'm Daniel. I live in the building across the street. I saw your mom's post online. My mom showed it to me this morning." Maya did not know what to say. She just stood there, frozen, staring at this boy who had suddenly appeared in her life like something out of a dream. Daniel reached into his backpack and pulled something out. It was a soccer jersey, bright blue with white stripes on the sleeves. He held it up so Maya could see the back. There was a number printed on it. Number 1. And above the number, in big white letters, was her name. "Maya, we made this for you," Daniel said. "Well, my mom helped. But it was our idea. We want you to be on our team." Maya's eyes went wide. She looked at the jersey, then at Daniel, then at the other kids standing behind him. They were all smiling. A girl with long braids gave her a little wave. The twin brothers she had watched so many times were nodding their heads like they were excited. "But I can't run," Maya said quietly. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "I'll slow everyone down." Daniel shook his head. "We don't care about that. We've been talking about it all day. We looked up stuff online about how to make soccer work for everyone. There's all kinds of ways to play. We can change the rules. We can make it so running doesn't matter as much. We just want you to play with us." Maya felt something warm spreading through her chest. She did not know if she wanted to laugh or cry. Maybe both. She reached out and took the jersey from Daniel's hands. The fabric was soft. Her name looked so official printed on the back, like she was a real player on a real team. "Why?" she asked. "Why would you do this for me?" Daniel thought about it for a moment, then he shrugged. Because it's not fun knowing someone is watching and wishing they could join. We see you at the window sometimes. We always wondered why you never came down. Now we know, and we don't want you to just watch anymore. We want you to play. The girl with the braids stepped forward. Her name was Lily, and she had the kindest eyes Maya had ever seen. We've been practicing different ways to include you, she said. Like, what if you're the one who takes all the free kicks? You don't have to run for those. You just kick the ball from one spot. And we figured out other stuff too. We can make it work. We promise. One of the twin brothers, a boy named Mateo, chimed in. Yeah. And we thought maybe you could be like the team captain or something. You know, the one who decides the plays. You've been watching us forever, right? You probably know how we play better than we do. Everyone laughed at that, including Maya. It was the first time she had laughed about anything related to soccer. It felt strange and wonderful at the same time. The babysitter had been watching this whole scene from the kitchen doorway. She had tears in her eyes. She pulled out her phone and quietly sent a message to Rosa, telling her what was happening. Rosa read it during a brief moment between patients. And she had to step into the supply closet, so no one would see her crying. That evening, when Rosa got home from work, Maya was still holding the jersey. She had not put it down all afternoon. She was sitting on her bed, running her fingers over the letters of her name again and again, like she was making sure it was real. Rosa sat down beside her and put an arm around her shoulders. I heard you had some visitors today, she said. Maya nodded. Her eyes were shining. They want me to play with them, Mama. They made me a jersey and everything. They said they don't care that I can't run. They said they'll change the rules so I can be part of the team. Rosa pulled her daughter close. How does that make you feel? Maya was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that Rosa would never forget. It makes me feel like I'm not invisible anymore. Rosa held her tighter. She thought about all those phone calls, all those rejections, all those nights when she had wondered if she was fighting a battle she could never win. And now here was her daughter, holding a jersey with her name on it, finally believing that she belonged somewhere. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Daniel and his friends came by every afternoon to talk with Maya about their plans. They drew diagrams on notebook paper, showing different positions and plays. They explained the rules they had invented to make sure everyone could participate. They brought over a brand new soccer ball that the sporting goods store had donated. Bright white, with Maya's name written on it in permanent marker. The physical therapist, Patricia, started coming by 3 times a week to work with Maya on strengthening exercises. She was patient and encouraging, always celebrating the small victories. Maya could stand for a little longer each day. Her balance was improving. She was not going to become a runner, but she was becoming stronger in her own way. The community had wrapped itself around this little girl like a warm blanket. People who had never spoken to each other before were now working together, united by a single purpose. They wanted to give Maya her chance. They wanted to show her that she mattered. And through it all, Maya kept that jersey hanging on her bedroom door, where she could see it every morning when she woke up. It was more than just a piece of fabric. It was proof that sometimes, when you least expect it, the world can surprise you with kindness. The day of her first game was coming. And for the first time in her life, Maya was not afraid. She was ready. The morning of the game arrived on a perfect October day. The sky was clear and blue, without a single cloud in sight. The air was cool but not cold. The kind of weather that makes you want to be outside. It was as if the universe knew something special was about to happen and had decided to cooperate. Maya woke up before her alarm. She lay in bed for a long time, staring at the jersey hanging on her door. Today was the day. After all the waiting, all the practicing, all the hoping, it was finally here. She was going to play soccer. The thought made her stomach flip with a mixture of excitement and fear. Rosa made her favorite breakfast, pancakes with strawberries and a glass of orange juice. But Maya could barely eat. She pushed the food around her plate, too nervous to swallow more than a few bites. Rosa did not push her. She understood. Some moments are too big for eating. How are you feeling? Rosa asked, sitting down across from her daughter. Maya thought about it. Scared, she admitted. What if I mess up? What if I fall down in front of everyone? What if I make the team lose? Rosa reached across the table and took Maya's hand. Listen to me, she said gently. No matter what happens today, I am so proud of you. You have already done something incredible just by saying yes. Just by being brave enough to try. Whatever happens on that field, you have already won. Maya nodded, but the worry did not leave her eyes completely. Some fears are too deep to be erased by words alone. They can only be faced. Around noon, Rosa and Maya walked over to the empty lot across the street. But it did not look empty anymore. Maya stopped at the edge of the sidewalk and stared, unable to believe what she was seeing. The whole place had been transformed. Someone had painted white lines on the grass to mark a proper field. The old wooden crate goals had been replaced with real nets, small ones donated by the sporting goods store. There were balloons tied to the fence posts, blue and white to match Maya's jersey. A folding table held cups of lemonade and plates of cookies. And everywhere Maya looked, there were people. So many people. She recognized some of them. Nurses from her mother's hospital, still wearing their scrubs. Teachers from her school. The physical therapist, Patricia, who gave her a big thumbs up. The man from the sporting goods store, standing proudly next to the goals he had donated. But there were also dozens of faces she had never seen before. Strangers who had read her mother's post online and wanted to be there for this moment. They had come from all over the neighborhood, some from even farther away, just to watch a little girl play her first game of soccer. Maya felt her legs start to shake. Not from her condition this time, from the weight of all those eyes looking at her. All those people expecting something. She wanted to turn around and run back home. She wanted to hide under her blanket and pretend this day had never come. But then Daniel appeared beside her. He was wearing his red cap backwards as always, and he had the biggest smile on his face. Pretty cool, right? He said, looking around at the crowd. I can't believe how many people showed up. Maya swallowed hard. What if I let everyone down? Daniel looked at her seriously. You won't. And even if something goes wrong, it doesn't matter. We're a team. Teams stick together no matter what. He held out his hand. Come on, everyone's waiting for you. Maya took a deep breath. Then, she took his hand and let him lead her onto the field. The other kids gathered around her. Lily with her long braids. Matteo and his twin brother Marco. A few other children from the neighborhood who had joined the team over the past few weeks. They were all wearing matching blue jerseys now, donated by a local print shop that had heard about Maya's story. They looked like a real team. And Maya was part of it. Daniel called everyone into a huddle. Okay. You all know the plan. We play together. We pass the ball. And when we get close to the goal, we set up Maya for the shot. Just like we practiced. He looked around at each of them. This isn't about winning. This is about having fun and making sure everyone gets to play. Got it? Everyone nodded. Then they put their hands together in the center of the circle. Team Maya! They shouted, throwing their hands up in the air. Maya laughed, despite her nerves. Team Maya! She had never had anything named after her before. The game started. It was not like the games Maya had watched from her window. It was slower, more careful. The kids passed the ball back and forth, always making sure Maya was involved. When she had the ball, they gave her time. No one rushed her. No one complained that she was too slow. They just waited and encouraged her. You got this, Maya. Take your time. Nice pass. Maya moved across the field as best she could. Her legs felt heavy and awkward, but she kept going. Patricia had taught her how to pace herself, how to conserve her energy for the moments that mattered. She tried to remember everything she had learned. The first half of the game passed without a goal from either side. Maya was getting tired. Her muscles were starting to ache in that familiar way that meant she needed to rest soon. But she did not want to stop. Not yet. Not before she had done what she came here to do. Then, midway through the second half, it happened. Mateo got the ball near the center of the field. He looked up and saw Maya standing near the goal, just outside the penalty area. Their eyes met. He gave her a small nod, then kicked the ball directly to her. Everything seemed to slow down. Maya watched the ball rolling toward her feet. She heard the crowd go quiet. She felt her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst out of her chest. The ball reached her. She stopped it with her foot, just like she had practiced 100 times in her bedroom with that old deflated ball. She looked up at the goal. The goalkeeper, a kid named Ben who had volunteered to play for the other team, was watching her with kind eyes. He shifted slightly to the left, leaving a small gap on the right side of the net. Maya pulled her leg back. Every muscle in her body screamed in protest. But she did not care. She swung her foot forward with everything she had and connected with the ball. It was not a powerful kick. It was not fast or impressive. The ball rolled slowly across the grass, wobbling a little as it went. For a moment, Maya thought it would miss. She thought it would stop before reaching the goal. She thought she had failed. But the ball kept rolling. It crossed the line. It hit the back of the net. The crowd erupted. Maya stood frozen, unable to process what had just happened. Then Lily crashed into her with a hug, nearly knocking her over. Mateo and Marco piled on. Daniel was jumping up and down, pumping his fist in the air. The other kids swarmed around her, shouting and cheering like she had just won the World Cup. Maya looked toward the sideline and found her mother. Rosa was standing with her hand pressed over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Their eyes met across the field, and Maya saw everything in her mother's expression. Pride, joy, relief, love, so much love. Maya started crying too. She could not help it. The tears came pouring out, mixing with the laughter that bubbled up from somewhere deep inside her. She was laughing and crying at the same time, surrounded by friends who were celebrating like she had given them the greatest gift in the world. But the truth was, they had given it to her. For the first time in her life, Maya did not feel different. She did not feel left out. She did not feel like the girl who could only watch from the window. She felt like she belonged. She felt like part of something bigger than herself. She felt like a player on a team. And that feeling was worth more than any goal she could ever score. The video of Maya's goal spread faster than anyone could have imagined. Someone in the crowd had recorded the whole thing on their phone and posted it online that same evening. By the next morning, it had been shared thousands of times. By the end of the week, it had reached millions of people around the world. News stations started calling. First, the local ones, then bigger channels from the city, then national programs that Rosa had only ever seen on television. Everyone wanted to talk to the little girl who had touched so many hearts with one simple kick of a soccer ball. Everyone wanted to know her story. Rosa was overwhelmed. She had never wanted attention. She had just wanted her daughter to play. But she also understood that Maya's story had become something bigger than their little family. It had become a symbol of hope for so many others who felt invisible, who felt left out, who had been told their whole lives that they could not do something. Maya did a few interviews, always with her mother sitting right beside her. She was shy at first, speaking softly into the microphones and avoiding the cameras. But when the reporters asked her how it felt to score that goal, her whole face lit up. "It felt like flying," she said. "Like for 1 second, my legs didn't matter. Nothing mattered except the ball and the goal. And when it went in, I felt like I could do anything." Those words were quoted in newspapers and magazines. They were shared on social media, with pictures of Maya smiling in her blue jersey. They reached parents of children with disabilities who had been struggling with the same feelings Rosa once had. They reached kids who sat on the sidelines just like Maya used to. They reached people who had forgotten what it felt like to hope. The donations started coming in soon after. People wanted to help create something lasting, something that would give other children the same chance Maya had received. A local businesswoman offered to fund the creation of an adaptive youth sports league. The city agreed to provide a proper field with accessible facilities. Coaches volunteered their time. Physical therapists offered free consultations. Within a few months, the program had an official name. They called it Maya's Field. Rosa cried when she heard. She sat at the kitchen table with the letter in her hands, reading the words over and over. An entire sports league named after her daughter. A place where children with all kinds of disabilities could come and play. Where no one would be turned away because of liability concerns or insurance issues. A place where every child would belong. The opening day of Maya's field was held on a sunny Saturday in spring. The new field was beautiful, with bright green grass and gleaming white lines. There were bleachers for families to sit and watch. There were ramps and wide pathways so wheelchairs could move easily. There were special balls and equipment designed for children with different needs. Everything had been thought of. Every child had been considered. Over 60 kids showed up that first day. Some were in wheelchairs. Some had braces on their legs. Some had conditions that made coordination difficult. Some looked perfectly healthy on the outside but struggled with things no one could see. They came from all over the city, brought by parents who had heard about the program and dared to hope that their children might finally have a place to play. Maya was there, of course. She was asked to kick the first ball to officially open the field. She stood at the center line with hundreds of people watching, and for a moment she felt that old familiar fear creeping back. But then she looked around and saw all those kids waiting for their turn. Kids just like her. Kids who knew what it felt like to be different. Kids who had spent their lives watching from windows and wishing they could join. She kicked the ball as hard as she could. It sailed through the air and landed near a little boy in a wheelchair, who caught it with the biggest smile she had ever seen. The crowd cheered. The games began, and Maya watched from the sideline for a few minutes. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to see what she had helped create. Daniel found her standing there. He was 14 now, taller than before, but he still wore that red cap backwards. He had become one of the volunteer coaches at Maya's field, helping younger kids learn the game just like he had helped Maya. "Pretty amazing, isn't it?" he said, standing beside her. Maya nodded. "I can't believe this all started because I wanted to play soccer." Daniel smiled. "It started because you were brave enough to admit what you wanted, and because your mom was brave enough to ask for help. That's what started everything." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the children play. Maya thought about how different her life was now compared to 2 years ago. She had friends, real friends who called her on the phone and came over to her apartment and included her in everything they did. She had a place where she belonged. She had a purpose. But the thing that meant the most to her was not the famous video, or the news interviews, or even the league that bore her name. It was the small moments. The afternoon visits from Daniel and Lily and the others, the inside jokes they shared, the way they always saved her a seat at lunch. The feeling of being wanted, truly wanted, by people who knew exactly who she was and loved her anyway. Her 9th birthday came a few weeks after Maya's field opened. Rosa threw a small party at their apartment. Just close friends and family. Daniel was there with his mother. Lily came with homemade cupcakes. Mateo and Marco arrived arguing about something. As usual, Patricia stopped by with a card signed by everyone at her clinic. The apartment was crowded and loud and full of laughter. When it was time for the cake, Rosa carried it out from the kitchen with 9 candles glowing on top. Everyone sang happy birthday while Maya sat at the center of it all, surrounded by the people who had changed her life. She looked at their faces in the candlelight and felt something warm and full expanding in her chest. "Make a wish," Rosa said softly. Maya closed her eyes. She thought about all the wishes she had made before. All those lonely nights when she had wished for friends, wished to be normal, wished to be anyone other than who she was. Those wishes had come from a place of sadness, but this one was different. She blew out the candles in one breath. Everyone clapped and cheered. Later, after the cake was eaten and the presents were opened and the guests had started to leave, Rosa found Maya sitting by the window. But she was not looking out at the empty lot anymore. She was looking at the jersey hanging on her wall, the one with her name on the back, number 1. "What did you wish for?" Rosa asked, sitting down beside her. Maya turned to her mother and smiled. It was a real smile, the kind that reached all the way to her eyes. "Nothing," she said. "I didn't wish for anything." Rosa tilted her head. "Nothing at all?" Maya shook her head. I used to wish for so many things. I wished I could run. I wished I could be like everyone else. I wished someone would see me. She paused, looking around the room at the birthday decorations and the cards from her friends and the leftover cake on the table. But I don't need to wish anymore. I already have everything I ever wanted. Rosa pulled her daughter into a hug and held her tight. She thought about that night 2 years ago, when she had found Maya crying on the floor with an old soccer ball in her lap. She thought about all the phone calls and rejections. She thought about the post she had almost been too afraid to share. And she realized that sometimes the biggest miracles start with the smallest moments. A child's whispered wish. A mother's quiet determination. A community that chose to care. Maya had just wanted to play. And what happened next had touched everyone, including her.